Hello, hello everyone. Welcome to another stream twice in 1 week. Who is she now? Hi guys. Happy Friday, or happy Thursday, depending where you are. I'm coming at you super early today, just because I have like a couple of errands, but I just could not resist. I swear, I love you guys, because I know I don't get like top views or anything on my videos, but what I love about it is that you guys have probably like the best hearing and retention, like listening retention that I've ever had on any platform ever because I literally commented on my last barista stream, which thank you so much for everyone who listened and was really kind to like reach out and stuff afterwards and who shared some of like their stories and stuff. I'll definitely go ahead and do probably another classroom horror story because I had some fellow teachers out there who wanted to like throw their hats in the ring for that stream. So that is something, and also teachers' assistants too, because I was one of those, and we kind of like swapped university and like tutoring stories. So that's something that like I'll definitely uh, be super excited to do. But why I'm here specifically this morning is because I had one person reach out to me that the comment that I made about relationship gurus and how I'm very cynical about like their advice and stuff. And they were just like, girl, have you heard of like Rachel Hollis and her husband? Because apparently, well, not apparently, I do have to say, at least this is the first time they send me the link to this video to react to. I haven't watched it at all. Like, I literally just got the link and pulled it up. But I do remember because my opinion is biased because of Rachel Hollis specifically. She's kind of tied into the whole MLM like group, and I do follow a lot of like anti-MLMer things because I just like the scandal of, like bad business practices and stuff like that in the back and forth. Just because um, I've thankfully never been recruited for anything like that. But it's something that I don't know. It was just my part of Facebook and social media and stuff. It's more on like the artsy type, so I never got into the hashtag boss babe sort of part of things. But I did hear a lot about her because funny enough, she was a relationship guru with her husband, but then this whole falling out happened because they eventually got a divorce. So it was this thing where I am going to react to it, but just know that I do know about like the falling out and like the opinions of a lot of fans that they've had because of it. But just because, and I'll say this, I'm not like a relationship like counselor. Basically, the advice that I give, it's basically like just my own personal opinions and stuff, but it's not something that's like creed. I feel like everyone is different, every relationship is different, and sure, you can hear somebody else's quote unquote success, but even then, people change, people grow, and just because somebody gets a divorce, like I don't necessarily mean like, well, everything was a failure. Their marriage is a failure. They're failures, so they should never give advice. I don't necessarily feel that because I think one of like the greatest things that you can actually do probably for yourself is if you're not in a happy relationship, if you're not with somebody, um honestly like the best thing you can do is to like amicably break up with that person. I don't know, like I cannot imagine a scenario where two people are willingly every day making a choice to stay together when they're not fulfilling those parts of each other. I guess because in my family, um, that was uh, it was a different generation. I was the youngest in my family, and there was that fear of divorce. And then when it finally happened, it was an extremely ugly thing. So I guess it kind of shaded my viewpoint of life as being very fearful of relationships, being fearful of being in a relationship. And then when I did finally find a partner and somebody that chose to spend the rest of my life with, it's just something that I'm always very careful about talking because I'm not somebody who feels like an expert in any way. It's like we're still very like newlywed, I guess you can say. But I would never speak from a place of like, yes, this is the perfect recipe because it's not about, I feel when you give advice, it shouldn't be out of a place of like forcing somebody to be in or out of a relationship. It's very much up to the person listening to see if it's applicable or not. So I, at least so the listener can understand where I'm coming from, I'm off the bat very cynical of these two, um, because they're not psychologists, they're not therapists, they're not somebody who I feel would be a good place to talk about. But at the same time, like if they're talking from a place of like, hey, this is what works for us and this is what makes us happy, and kind of spitballing. But I don't know. I guess I need to like actually listen to it and sit down. But just I at least wanted to give you guys like the a rundown of my thinking process and where I'm coming from. And just because I have an opinion on something, it does not make me an expert in any way. And I'm just coming from like a point of that was when I was growing up, those were like my viewpoints of a relationship. And um, then now that I'm currently in a relationship, that's like where I'm at. So just in case they say anything and I come across maybe very cynical or jaded, I hope I don't, but I guess we'll see. So, without further ado, I did want to give a couple of minutes in case because I know I did give the user out there a heads up that I would be going live. It was kind of like an impromptu thing, so I at least wanted to give them a little bit of time to get here and then for us to react together. But yeah, I at least hope anyone out there, please take my advice at least with a grain of salt because I'm not a professional. I'm just talking about like my very limited experience as far as being in a relationship and um, just being currently married. But being currently married doesn't mean anything. Like, I never would want to give someone out there like, yes, once you get married, that's it. You're good at relationship. No, no, like it's not like that at all. And just because you get divorced or you split up or things like that, it doesn't mean you're a failure or anything like that. I feel that people experience things in life for a reason, and like that's what I'm kind of hoping to at least hear from because these are two like I'm guessing they're at least in their mid 30s, so I'm like skeptical but kind of excited to see what they have to say, um, because I believe from like reading a little bit of their bio, they've been like married for like 18 years. That's like a long time, and so like I'm kind of excited to see. Compared to like my baby, like 3 years, it's gonna be like 3 years in September. I'm kind of eager to kind of see, like what they gotta say. So I'm just gonna play the play button, and we'll see how it goes.
Even though I haven't eaten or had coffee.
My
You
phone
can't
beeped.
even shut off your volume?
I didn't know what happened.
I mean, the quality of our video.
Sorry.
Hey guys, I'm
Oh, she's
Rachel.
hyper. Okay. Oh.
I'm Dave.
Oh, that face. Oh no. Why do I feel like I got secondhand embarrassment right away? Oh no.
We didn't set
Like my face right now. Oh.
that up well. Well, yeah, it's fine. We thought that we would tell you a little bit about us, our marriage. You
Oh,
watch
that's
us in
exciting.
videos, and so
What is this about?
our marriage.
Yes.
Great.
Oh, that's not very. That seems a little foreboding. Am I reading too much into that? Like, okay, I don't want to judge too quickly. Okay,
How
let's
long have
just
we been
keep going.
married? 42 years?
13 years still.
13.
Okay, at least I was right. I was like, have they been married for 40? I was like, when did they get married? When they were 12? Like, is that legal? Okay. Oh, but that's like it seems like they're like like they're almost like tensiony where it's just like, oh, it feels like 42 years. Oh, I would ye.
Years.
Maybe I'm reacting too quickly. Okay, let's
But
listen.
we've bbeen together for 15 years.
15 years. Keeps getting better. Every
Yeah,
year's been better.
that's real.
That is
Hmm.
real.
Date.
Well, foresight is like at least something because they did get divorced like 2 years after. So, mm, yeah, that's the thing. That's why I feel like probably my opinion is a little biased, but it's kind of like, yeah, every year gets better until it ended. Oh no.
Dave worked still works at Disney, and I worked at Miramax, which was owned by Disney at the time. He came over for a meeting one day, and I went to get him from the lobby, and his back was to me, his hands were in his pockets, and he turned around.
That's pretty funny. Like the romantic and that's the funny thing. A lot of people think like it's like, oh my gosh, as soon as you know each other, like as soon as you see each other, everything, the stars align. Like no, it's like you do get butterflies, and but a lot of the times it's a very scary thing. At least I don't know. In my opinion, when I when I first saw my husband and we first got to know each other, I thought he was pissed at me. Maybe that's saying a lot about me that I overthink, but I thought he hated my guts when we first met because I'm very bubbly and hyper and blah blah blah, and he's like cool, collective, you know. Maybe similar to I'm sensing that's what their dynamic is. Oh God, no. Like um but it wasn't I wouldn't say it was like ooh, it was love at first sight. It was more like in my head, I was like, ooh, he's cute. And I wanted to talk to him. And, literally, like, the first thing I think the first question I asked my husband was such a stupid one because he's obviously enlisted. And so the first thing that popped in my head to ask him was, oh God, I'm getting red even thinking about it. I asked him if he ever threw a grenade before and how, if it's like in the movies or something. Oh God, I just didn't know what to ask, and he literally looked at me. He answered my question very nicely, and then I want to say 5 seconds later, I invited him to have coffee at my house. Oh God, I wasn't exactly like the most collective person because I don't know. It was just one of those things, but I wouldn't say it was like, ooh, love at first sight. It was just very butterfly and nerve-wracking and stuff. Because you see a person and you're just like, ew, you're cute. But yeah, that's like my, I guess too. I don't know, probably like I was like the same age kind of as these two, and they were more professional settings. So, oh boy, that's pretty funny.
Do you even
Ah,
remember this moment?
no.
No.
No. Why would I
Oh,
remember this?
oh, that's heartbreaking. Oh, I don't think I would like that very much. Like if I told this whole story of like how nervous and stuff, and then my husband just turns around and be like, "No, I don't remember any of that." Oh God, that's oh my God. Like maybe not specific things, but that would break my heart if he just turned around and be like, "No, you're dumb." Like, oh, this is terrible.
Moment.
No. Well, I remember it, and I knew. I didn't know what, but I knew, like, oh,
Yeah.
something just happened.
It's funny because it started very professionally.
Yeah.
And then slowly you could
Yeah.
see just like a little crack where it was like, oh, wait, that's a joke.
Yeah.
Oh, you're being funny.
Yeah.
And then a little more of a joke. And then we
Oh, okay. Maybe I understand a little better from their point of view because they were in a like business setting. I guess like cuz for me it was more of uh like he was related to like my best friend. So I guess it was like that. Like it's more of like a casual fun. Like I have to admit it like where I thought I was like, "Oh no, it's never going to happen." And like it's all in my head. Like I imagine that. Like I don't know if it happens at if that insecurity stops at any age, but there is a point until like you officially sit down with the person and it's like, hey, do you feel the same way? Am I crazy? Like, oh boy. I get like flustered and stuff because I remember all of those things and I feel like I'm like reliving that part of my life. Oh my gosh.
Started sending rap lyrics back and
We
forth, and
did.
then we started
Oh, that's
like,
cute.
but the climb, not like Miley Cyrus, but like the climb that took place to, it going from being totally professional to not professional
Yeah.
is something that happened, and it happened pretty quickly, but it happened.
The key to our long.
Like, I think it's funny because we were actually talking about this in the last stream. Like, I'm assuming because they were not coworkers. Like, it's kind of like they met in a business setting, but they didn't actually work together. But please don't go out with coworkers. I talk about that because I had friends and stuff in those scenarios. Like, it just gets ugly, like really fast, and just be careful of that. I'm sure it was fine in their scenario because it's kind of like maybe they had the same clientele, but they didn't actually like physically work together. But all right, the key. Ooh, just a single key. Oh, okay. I guess we just have one single key just for a relationship. That's not stressful at all.
Marriage,
Oh boy.
joint property laws in the state of California.
I think we are deliberate. We're intentional. We do take seriously the work that is required to make a marriage great, and
Absolutely.
like we.
Well, I guess I think I understand what they're saying. Well, obviously not, just because they kept all of that a secret. Um, because literally up until like the nth hour, they said that they were married and oh yes, like by our conference and stuff, and then they announced their divorce. But taking that aside, I'll shelve that opinion to the side because I don't want that to be like the whole talk. Oh, hello, Uncanny. How are you? We're reacting to relationship gurus today because I was like sent the video and stuff. How are you, lovely? Are you doing good? But yeah, shelving that aside, I guess probably like what they mean is commitment, like where at least you want to be on the same page as your partner on expectations. So kind of like just checking in from time to time, like being like, "Hey, like this is how I feel. Is this what you feel?" And especially when it comes to like time, money, like things that they're important. Uh, Expectations of like, hey, in a couple of months I see us, moving in together, or oh, this and that. And because if you guys don't, you know, like talk about that at some point, it's just gonna get resentful, I think, in a lot of ways. And then there's gonna be like a lot of like cross communication. And you're gonna like really think that your partner and stuff is like being like mean or toxic at some points because you're not like sharing those like very important things about the relationship. So yeah, like at least keep in touch with those things, whether you want to be in a committed relationship or not. Like, let's say if you do want to keep it casual, if it's something like where that's your perspective on the relationship, it is very important to not only be honest with yourself, but also be honest with your partner of like, hey, this is like how I define our relationship, this is how I view me, and this is how I view you, and then this is how I view us. So like having those three things I think is important. Like one of like I don't think there's a key that's impossible because there's so many different like wheelhouses as far as like people go, but I think oh, you're playing League. Oh, so who's your main? How like are you doing the matches and stuff? Like I still haven't gotten to like level 30, so I can't do competitive yet or ranked. But oh, I hope you are doing good. I know I'm like currently like learning Misfortune, and she's like super super fun. Oh, Oh my gosh, I actually watched like a video on Thrush, like how he was like banned for a little bit just because he was like so OP for a while. He's the one like with the lantern, right? The one with the hooks, I think, if I'm like remembering that correctly. Yeah, where I think, oh man, who was this player? I think he was called like he did like one of those like competitive like league matches and stuff. I hope I'm not like completely uh oh wait, but you're probably like playing right now, so I don't want to like distract you. So I will soothe you with my opinions of relationships. So yeah, I'll try and let them keep talking though, so then I don't like interrupt every 5 seconds.
Go on dates
Yeah.
once a week, every week, even if we don't want to, even if we don't like each other as much that
Yeah.
week, even if we're tired or have traveled or whatever it might be, dating each other is important.
Yeah.
Wait, did he? Oh, wait, I want to listen to that again. Wait,
Required to make a
Mhm.
marriage great. And it,
Absolutely.
like we go on dates
Yeah.
once a week, every week, even if we don't want to, even if we don't like each other as much that
Yeah.
week, even if we're tired or have traveled or whatever it might be, dating each other is important.
Yeah. It's
he don't do that at all. Um, no, don't do that. No, give each other space. No, don't. Dating should be. Okay, how can I put this? Dating doesn't have to be dinner and a movie. Um, Dating should be something. I would not want my my partner, my significant other, um, to go on a date with me if he doesn't want to be there. Period. And that's for anybody, like friendships, family. If you don't want to be there, please don't be there. No, absolutely not. The quality, okay, quality versus quantity. Obligating, it's not like a workout, okay? Like, yes, I would not like want to be looked at as a chore. I would want like just because in my relationship there's um we have two different dynamics, right? So for me, I'm the more outgoing, bubbly, blah blah blah, and then my husband is more reserved. So there are times where we have to kind of take care of each other, on our different times and levels, and we can't be put on a schedule. I feel like that is superficial and unrealistic. And just because you guys go out, now I do agree that it's like touching bases with each other and doing small things, I think, but don't do that. Don't be like, "Oh yeah, we have to go every Saturday or every Friday and treat that like mowing your lawn or, because it kind of takes the quality of it away. And it doesn't even have to be something fancy. Like, it really can just be Netflix and watching a movie together, or making a cup of coffee and sitting next to your partner and allowing them to have their space and feel what it is that they're feeling. Because I think that's basically like that's what feels gross to me. It's that you're negating what that other person is feeling and kind of pushing that down and being like, "Oh, it doesn't matter how you feel because today is Friday and we have to go on a date." And life happens. Like, responsibilities happen, and like kind of pushing your partners or your feelings, out of the picture. Um like, that's kind of really gross to me. Oh, sorry, Uncanny. So I'm playing normals at the moment. Thresh is not that much. Abandoned in my game? Oh, like you mean, uh, like, do you mean like the actual like character and stuff? So like not that many people. Um, oh, maybe like banned. It's not banned in your game. Oh, okay, that's good. Oh, that means like where the other team doesn't like ban them and stuff. Oh, that's good. Yeah, sometimes it's like a flavor of the week thing, like where people watch like one video and stuff, and then they permanently like ban it like over and over. So that's good. That means like you're able to like play the character and stuff and get better. Ooh, good. I'm rooting for you, Uncanny. Um, but yeah, so please don't do that. Like, I like because then you're just kind of taking your partner out of it. Like, what if they legitimately just need space and like that seems very robotic and like ooh, like icky. Um like there are times where I don't feel like in a good mood. So sometimes, you know, but it's never like, no, we're going on a date because we have to go on a date and we have to work on a marriage. It's like more of like a thing of like, hey, let's go grab a quick, ice cream or something and then just head straight back. I know you're not like feeling good right now. Funny enough, like my husband always like pulls me out of the room sometimes when I'm like really like sometimes just overwhelmed with things, and then he like convinces me, like he's like, oh, let's just go for a quick ice cream, and then the quick ice cream turns into like more of a longer process because we find other fun things to do. And it's true, sometimes it gets me out of like my crabby mood, but if there's ever a time where it's like literally sometimes I have to put like, hey, no, it's not, he's like cool with it, like it's not like I just don't like the way that that's a little icky.
Better every year.
Oh, for sure.
Like so much better every year, which is crazy because in the beginning you think like I can't possibly love you more than I love you right now.
Oh, that's
And
sweet.
it's not true.
Not even
Like
close to true.
I don't even like that guy like 8 years ago.
Remember
like
the
you're
blue
so much
Billabong
better.
T-shirts
Oh my
that I would
God,
wear that
yes,
like had my
I do.
protruding "Are you pregnant?" belly,
Yeah,
and we
we
would
used to
go
Oh,
to
both
I
do that.
Denny.
wouldn't say, oh, like that's the thing you do. Oh God, that's kind of heartbreaking. Like, I feel you do change in relationships. Like, I do feel like because the responsibilities change, the dynamic sometimes. Like I still feel like myself. My husband still feels like himself. Like, there's things that we both do that like haven't really changed much, but what does change is like kind of sometimes the environment, the responsibilities, like, things that we lean on each other before we don't as much now, and like we just lean on each other for different things. Like now we have another puppy. So, our routines change. Like that's a big thing where even now I'm kind of out of work, so I'm more of like a homemaker now, which like honestly a couple years back would have been like like my younger self would have been like, what? Like, but, just because of that, but still, like, I would never say, because I kind of like fell in love with my husband for who he is, and whether, um, I would never say like the guy that I dated and the guy that I married and then the guy who I'm still married to is like not the same person. Like maybe like certain things like where I find more reasons to be like, oh, like, now I know more about you. Now I've seen you go through different things in life and we're growing together. And yeah, there's like fights mixed into that. There's tensions, there's stress, but like the foundation of like who we are is still the same. So like I would never think of like being like, oh, like, and this isn't because like we're a perfect couple. It's because like I kind of is it weird just to say that like I knew what I was getting myself into, I guess. Yeah, like that's the thing with being a I guess military spot. I hate using that word, but it's kind of like it became really obvious early on like what the relationship was. You got to get real fast. But oh, I would never. That would break my heart. Like if man, they say like very jabby things to each other. They almost seem like they're a divorced couple now. Like when was this? This is 2018. I'm kind of oh, and this is actually on her channel. So she still has this up. Oh, I thought it was like re-uploaded. This is ironic. How many? Okay. Ooh. Oh boy.
Much
Knees.
chubbier than we are right now. We had some terrible eating
Oh,
habits. Our like big excitement, like there's not a more exciting date for us than this is pre-kids. Then Black Angus wagon wheel sampler platter.
Yes.
Thank you very much with potato skins. Yeah.
I
Oh my.
remember like
We would
I
get
would get
you
a,
get
a new
coupon in the mail.
job, like a promotion, or
Yeah,
I
that's
won a
how we
poker tournament
celebrated.
one time. Like,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do? We're gonna hit the Angus.
Black Angus.
Oh,
I hope
that's
you'll
cute.
like.
Yeah, like where yeah, like where you do little rituals with each other. That's cute. Like yeah, and overindulging, I guess, like on certain. Yeah, we're at least like for us lately, it's been Blue Seal ice cream because that's like the famous ice cream over here. mangoes because we have like a mango farm near here, and we get us some mangoes, like some fruit trays and stuff. Um, that's usually on like the weekends, and then ramen with egg rice, which doesn't sound fancy, but like these, it's like a family-owned shop, and the grandma, she works on the weekends and stuff. She is like a cute little Japanese grandma, and she makes the best egg rice. That's like sweet and salty at the same time, which I didn't even know rice could be. And but that's really cute. I do like those kind of. And then I want to say, like, when we lived back in the States, what was our go to? I guess just like Wingspot stuff. Um, just lots of, like, yeah, like little snacks and candies. And yeah, my husband's a huge candy eater, so I can't compete with him. Like,
Show old pictures
There's
of
a really
us
bad picture of
because
us playing croquet looking like
God,
oh, that's
chipmunks.
God, it's so bad.
Ugh.
I look like I got stung by 1,000 bees.
Your hair
oh.
game is also unbelievably better because that picture
Oh,
also
my hair was
showcases
so bad.
a lack
We're
of,
such
of
better.
care.
We're so much better looking.
My hair, everyone's
It's
hair.
shocking how
Jack's
much
hair.
better looking we
Everyone's.
are.
I mean, I'm kind of maybe I don't know if I'm thinking too much into it, but God, they're very judgmental. Okay, I'll just keep pushing forward. I don't know. Is it weird, like when you look at pictures back on yourself? Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. Because there are like I look at pictures of myself like from high school and stuff, and I had like questionable fashion choice. So, oh,
His
Are
hair is
now
better, really.
than we were then.
The first thing I would say is you can read every book. You can ask people
oh,
like,
advice about kids. Okay, I feel like I know the least about this because I don't have any children. I've worked with children, but that's it. That's like literally nothing like that. I don't have any advice on kids, and we have two puppies, so those are like our fur babies, and that's probably gonna be our fur babies for a while, like my before they say anything. So then, at least we're not gonna have kids for a while, just because we're constantly moving a lot, and it's just something like where yeah, like at least that's like my stance on it. Um, we're just gonna like wait a while, so then we get like a little bit more um like even I call it like jokingly the selfish years. Like that's basically what I told my husband where that's just like where we're at. It's just something that we prefer just to like kind of like enjoy vacation when we can, like travel. I definitely want to do a little bit more traveling in the future when COVID and stuff like settles down. But yeah. Um, at least for me, I'm not bringing kids anytime soon, but let's see what they say.
us for advice.
Hmm.
You can do all the internet research, or it. Nothing will actually prepare you for having children.
Literally
Your
nothing.
experience will be completely different from everyone else's
Hmm.
because you are who you are. But at the end of the day, take as many naps as you possibly
Oh,
can
gosh.
before your children are there because you will sleep a
Sleep.
lot less. And give yourself, the more you can like talk yourself into giving yourself grace for all of it being just as it was supposed to be, the better you're going to be because it's hard
Yeah.
and it's going to feel like you're not doing it right at the beginning
Yeah.
because you had no idea what it was going to be like, even if you read What to Expect When You're Expecting, or even if you talked to the greatest child rearer ever, it doesn't matter.
It's like so easy to say this in hindsight, and we would not change anything because if you change even the slightest variable, you don't have the children that you have. Like I wouldn't change the timing. But my advice to couples who are thinking about kids is like, if you have the time to wait, wait as long as you can. Spend as
Yeah, that's good advice. I mean, I think it's just like I see young couples having kids, and it's hard. It's a very difficult thing, and if you have the means, and I understand also like the other side of the coin where it's like, especially when you have a biological clock and you're fearful of not having kids, and I understand like from that comparison too, but like really like take a hard look at least because that's just a lifetime commitment. It's a very big commitment. It's something that you have for life, and it's you need you need a lot of support as much as you can say like yes, I'm going to do it on my own or things like that. You're going to need a village at some point. And like I just say that in the sense of like medical care, like do it in a responsible way of like you know, getting like the care that you need and getting your health at a good point. Just yeah, like that's like the only thing that I've seen. Um, where yeah, that's really all I can say.
As much time as you possibly can together and traveling and exploring and
Oh yeah,
figuring out who
hey,
you are
we
as a
agree on
couple. I
something.
think society tries to rush people. Like when are you gonna find someone? When are you gonna get married? When are you gonna have a baby? Like
Yeah, like I think there's more of a movement now to wait because a lot of people they kind of see what like especially now with social media, people are very transparent with like the stages of what they go through and the aftermath of pregnancy. And what I'm happy is that there's like a dialogue of even, talking about like the baby blues, so things that like the emotional toll of new parents and things. So I feel I'm glad like there's a dialogue like that to be discussed. But yeah, there's I think I don't know if I see the generational pressure. I think I see more people talk about like this very thing of being like, oh, it could be like probably the sources that I find are kind of biased towards that. Um, but at least like for me, I just don't see the point of the rush. Like, it's literally once you have a child, you have them. In my personal case, because I'm talking at least from a point of that, you know, like oh okay like biologically like everything is fine and because of course I've seen that other part where there's like health factors into it but yeah if you're a young couple if there's time for it there's time for it.
man,
Yeah.
take your time.
To the extent that you can
Oh
borrow,
and
Tell you
also
a little bit about
oh no I skipped
you
it,
are
I'm
who you
sorry.
are. But at the end of the day, take as many naps as you possibly
oh,
can.
Oops,
All of it being just as it was supposed to be. It was going to be like, even if you
my
read
bad.
What to Expect.
and that you have. Like we wouldn't when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna have a baby? Like, man,
Yeah.
take your time.
To the extent that you can borrow a kid,
Yeah,
to the
borrow a
extent that you
kid.
can
Just
have
for
a
like a
niece or a
weekend.
nephew
Give him
come to your
back.
house and have them for a length of time that lets you feel the real weight of having.
I mean I don't have that. Like I don't have like, oh, I have like a niece or a nephew. I say the volunteer work because um you can give back to your community, I think. Because I know I've had like those, I guess you can call them like maternal itches, I guess you can say, where it's like, oh, but I know like we don't have like like it's a bad time to have kids and all of that's everything I expressed, but you can definitely if it's something like where you're at a point where you do have like that um maternal or paternal because I know there's people out there also who have that where um you can like volunteer, you can like do things outside of that to see if it's something that you can definitely give back to your community in that way. Um, mhm.
Having to
Mhm.
keep somebody alive,
Mhm.
you will then appreciate the things that
True.
you do not appreciate before you have kids, like
Totally.
being able to binge watch a show on a
Oh,
Saturday,
do you know how many
like
shows we binge watched
sleeping
after
in
we ate the sampler platter?
ever, like
Yeah.
going out whenever you want, like all
Or
of those
not.
things, or not, or yeah, like
Maybe I might
staying
go
in
to
soft pants.
Target
You
for
can
6 hours
do
on a
it. You can do
Saturday.
whatever you want.
Maybe
Like
I'm not gonna get out of my pajamas all weekend. I was like,
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like that's a very superficial answer. Like there's a lot more to um like you can still at least when you have a partnership, like I feel like that you shouldn't give up like everything. Like when of course like because the child takes a priority. Um like of course like in your relationship. So I don't know, like I guess like I've talked to friends who they do have children and stuff and it's like compromise, so it's like things that you can work with your partner together to kind of like help each other out. Like with that, I'm guessing. Maybe I'm just like spitballing here. We'll just go to the next thing since I don't know anything about kids and like I don't want to have kids for a long time, so and maybe it's not like my field of expertise to talk on this one.
A hot mess financially when Dave met me. I was a gamble. I mean,
Oh,
obviously,
money is important though. If they're talking about money, this is like for me this is an important thing just because not so much like it's like, oh, money. Money and thing, but it's like kind of like you guys have to talk like kind of be on the same language like as far as like money and finances because if um like one of you is going to be a big spender and the other one's a big saver, there can be like a possibility that there's going to be like fights and stuff, but like you need to like at least be on each other's like same page as far as like budgeting. Like I really think just budgeting needs to be talked about and like where you guys are at like month to month and like what bills need to be paid. Like I don't agree with keeping like your partner in the dark. Like money, it doesn't have to be about figures. It doesn't have to be it just no secrets. So credit cards need to be like everybody needs to be in the know. Whoever is involved financially, like between you and your partner, um, everybody needs to be involved, like at least the know-how, and so no secrets, and also like month to month or something like that, being like, hey, there's gonna be extra expenses here. Hey, how can we like pull from this and do this and then so then everybody's in the know-how because I feel like that's how fights happen. It's just it's less about like how much money you make or anything because you can definitely be like a millionaire and make a bunch of money, but if you just spend 2 million or 3 million, you're gonna be in debt. So I think and that affects like credit scores, that affects basically like your future endeavors. So just kind of, especially now that everything is digital and information, it's not like in the old days where, and I know this because my parents are like kind of an older generation where everything was like mailed out and stuff, like weeks after it happened. But yeah, just yeah, that's really the biggest advice you can have really in finances, just keeping each other in the loop and being like, hey, like I bought this thing and oh, okay, cool. I'll just, the grocery thing, I'll just not buy that. And, like you just kind of meet in the middle month to month or every couple of months. I wish I could spend 2 or 3 million. I mean, that's the thing. It's you'd be surprised like how quickly people get into debt. It is, I can tell you from, I hate to like keep bringing up like Um, but it happens in the military community. I just talk about it in the sense of like because I would talk to other wives, and the thing is when you have a partner who gets, let's say, certain credit allowances, a certain pay, if you don't have a talk with somebody who's like, hey, like, we have a budget and this is like they will give you a credit card for thousands of dollars with no question asked and they will spend it and that's a problem. Like that just because you can get that amount of credit or anything doesn't mean you have to spend it. And that's what nobody really tells. That's not like in everybody's case, but when you see it enough, especially with young people, like very young parents or very young couples that they've come from, let's say, something like where, especially with like percentages and stuff like that of interest rate. I only know this because literally my parents were so old school that like I had to learn that stuff. I had to learn how to balance a checkbook. I had to, like learn that stuff because they didn't speak English. So, at least my dad didn't. So I would help him in that. And honestly, it's crazy how, if you're not careful, you could be living month to month, and it doesn't matter like how much you earn if you're not spending it wisely and there's no savings. Like because emergencies happen. That's what nobody talks about. It's that like, sure, like let's say if you're by the book and every cent that like, oh, okay, groceries are X, but let's say in a couple of weeks or two, the car breaks down, which is like a very stereotype thing, but it happens. Or let's say, God forbid, something and the home breaks or whatever, and then you need to replace it. Or in our case, we have a lawnmower who just refuses to actually cut the grass. So, you know, there's certain expenses that do pop up, and if you don't have something to kind of, you know, like fall back on, um, that, and it is like things, especially now, like with the pandemic, it's happening more and more. And but yeah, Uncanny, what if you had $1 million to spend? What would you spend it on? What is your $1 million purchase? I'll think of mine too, like before. Like I'll read your answer, but a house? Ooh, like would it be like a house like specifically somewhere, or like would it be like a mansion with a pool and in like the Bahamas? That actually sounds pretty nice. I'm just like thinking of like probably if let me see. I'll probably like as you're typing yours, I'll think of mine. I've always, you know what? I talked about this to my sister-in-law, like with my sister-in-law, and I've always loved the idea where we would get like an art studio somewhere, but like where we would like just buy a studio and like literally split it in half. She would have her half, I would have mine, and we would like collab on stuff, but like it would literally just be like an ether of just random art stuff. Like just like we wouldn't stick to just one art thing. We would just try pottery and looming and sewing and just all of this stuff just to like try out. A house in Switzerland is probably the best thing you can buy with a million. Oh wow, that sounds beautiful. Like I'm picturing like mountain, like the Swiss Alps, like you know, like in those movies and stuff, like where they would like go skiing and things like that. Ooh, that sounds very, very pretty. All right, let's see what they say. Let's see what the money advice from these people are.
Saw the diamond in the rough that I was going to become. I made like $12 an hour with no overtime. I live in LA. I couldn't afford anything. So it just made sense when we got married.
Well, like if it's a million isn't enough, then what you do is you get that million, you invest in Bitcoin, and then you make that 2 or 3 million. Or you can do it like where maybe you can rent a property, like probably. But that's the thing, at least with like I've never done it, so I can't speak on it. But like at least maintenance and stuff, you gotta be careful and those Airbnb stuff and.
Remember the car you had that you had to run?
Oh, sorry, I completely spaced out. I was thinking of like all the. Sorry, it got me distracted. Uncanny. I'm joking.
$12 an hour with no overtime. I live in LA. I couldn't afford anything. So it just made sense when we got married.
Remember the car you had that you had to run the heater on so that
Yeah.
it would, yes.
Yes, I had a
Wouldn't overheat?
green forest green Plymouth Acclaim handed down through generations. It overheated every time you even barely turned the engine on, so I had to constantly run the heater to pull the heat off the engine. Anyone? Anyone? I was a financial disaster zone.
A dude magnet.
Yes, I was,
Oh.
but now it's fine.
Yes.
Just look at, I'm just making money.
I mean, God, I don't know why. It's because they talk about like their past selves, like, oh, look how poor we were. Oh, gross. Like, what? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't mean to sound catty, but like, I don't know. I guess like anytime like even my mom or dad like they joked around about like stuff that they owned, it was more out of a sense of like the stuff that happened to it. So like they would tell like stories, but every time these people speak, they keep talking about how fat and poor they were, and it's like, oh, look how I would never date me if I was me back then. It's like what? Oh, all right. I mean, I don't know if I guess their money advice is don't be poor. Like that's basically like all I'm hearing, but maybe they'll say maybe I'm speaking too soon.
I
All
don't know
worked
where
out.
it goes.
It all worked
But
out.
I know how to make the money. I just don't know how to manage it.
Yes.
And I feel fine.
That's a problem. Like it shouldn't matter how much. Okay, it should not matter. I don't mean to sound upset. Okay, let me just take it back. It does not matter how much you make. It matters how much you save and what you do with that money and how much you can make it stretch. Like let's be honest. Like Not everyone can become a millionaire. You don't have to make $1,000 million to be happy or to be financially secure. It's all about, and that's the thing, if I think what they're trying to say um, is that spending habits, can be taught. Like, just because you make more money does not mean that your problems magically go away. If anything, it creates more problems because the more stuff you buy, the more stuff you have to maintain. Nobody tells you that part. Nobody tells you getting the Ferrari and, like, ooh, yay, the Ferrari is magically there and, like, it doesn't need gas, it doesn't need maintenance, it doesn't need, like, this is the way that I've been taught, right? So, um, and it does. It's actually been very valuable to learn those things because as you get older, you get more responsibilities, and whether like you're in a relationship or not, but let's say even you're with a roommate or like you need to learn how to like kind of plan for the future because things are going to happen that are going to put like dents in your plan and it's not about how much you make, it's how much you can save and like what you do with that money and putting it towards something that is going to help you become more secure. And that's like the like underlying thing. Like think about yourself because you can't really think too far because you don't know what's going to happen. But what is like at least the safest game plan? I only buy stuff that I can afford safely. Exactly. Thank you, Uncanny. Exactly. Plan for yourself to like I always think of it. My dad taught me this. It's the 369 rule. Okay. What can you pay off in 3 months? What can you pay off in 6 months? And what can you pay off in 9 months? And if it doesn't fall under those categories, like what number are you thinking of? And you'll have to knock off some things within those rules. Like, I guess, so let's say if you buy something and you have to pay it off in 2 years, then you sure as hell aren't going to add two more things like in the 3 month like category if you're already paying off something that's going to take you 2 years to pay off. You understand? Because the situation that you're in now is not going to be the same as you are in 2 years. So look at yourself and your commitments and like I'm sorry, I didn't mean for this to be like a financial talk, but these two are giving awful advice because they're sitting around saying like, "Oh, we used to be so poor, and can you imagine like the car that we had, and look at us now?" And it's like, well, yeah, but that's not everyone's case. The point isn't to get rich. The point is to, you know, safely afford things. Exactly. Thank you, Uncanny. So yeah, I'll knock down their advice right off the bat. That was terrible advice.
Fine about that.
It's good.
California's a joint property state.
We're good.
I think we're fine. We don't
So
fight.
basically saying like, yes, let me listen. Don't rely on your partner to give you good. You know who you should rely on? My goblins and ghouls, my spooky babes out there, a financial advisor, because your partner more likely, unless they are in a bank themselves or a financial advisor, they won't know either. Because a lot of us we go into a relationship or a business venture with sorry, even my doggo has something to say about finances. He's very vocal about finances. But go to a financial advisor. Don't rely on your partner. Don't rely on your roommate. Don't even rely on your parents because a lot of the times they're making financial decisions that are 10 or 20 like it's dated advice. Go to your local bank or to a look and get advice from multiple people, not just the internet, but like actual professionals. Don't I think that's terrible advice to rely on your partner because there can be misinformation and stuff like that. Yes, he's very vocal. He's very passionate about the finances. I do like that little icon. Thanks, Uncanny. I think because we're probably the UPS person or the recycling, depending on like how the truck, which direction it goes, I can tell. But he's very passionate. He's very vocal about the finances.
We're not fighters.
We're not fighters. We're lovers.
We, I think, both have a big picture appreciation.
Wait a second. Did they say they don't fight? Oh wait, sorry. I'll just lift my mic for 1 second. Sorry.
We're lovers.
We I think both have a big picture appreciation
Mm-hmm.
for the things that are really important.
I'm gonna let
And
them talk, but that's some. I don't want to curse. I'm not gonna curse because this is. I know children don't really hear my streams, but probably somebody streaming out there with a vicinity of a child, I guess. That's a lie. Yeah, I agree,
to the
Uncanny.
extent that when, hey, this is one of those things that crosses over the line and we now have to have a conversation about it, we have those. I can't remember a time where we've yelled at each
I
other.
can.
Yeah, I was about to say it. I'm just like, there's some. What's I do watch a channel called Psychology in Seattle. See, even my Bork Bork, even how my furry my furry fur baby has something to say. He's like, "That's a lie. Lie detected." He can smell out BS too. um yeah, I watch a channel called Psychology in Seattle, very good. Dr. Honda is the host and he's a psychologist and he talks about basically uh distortions. So like where you can a situation can happen and just because of like your past or like the way that your emotions come out, it can like kind of distort your reality from what's actually happening. And that's some big distortion. I cannot imagine being in any sort of human interaction and there not being friction or tension. Probably what he means is that we've never like been at blows, like where probably what he defines as a fight is like verbally screaming at each other, but like there's emotion, there's people, there's like tension, and look, even my pork pork, he's there's tension happening with him and the recycling people. like it's if you're alive, you know, that just means that they just the only way I can think of two people not fighting is because they don't have a relationship and they don't talk to each other and they don't have like I what I can think probably what he means is that, oh, we've never had an unconsolable fight. But even then, there's things that in a relationship, realistically, that it's not going to get resolved because you two have different viewpoints of life. Like, there's certain things, like, for example, I am very spiritual. I am a, like, I'm a big hippy dippy. Like, it's just what I am. And then my husband, he's more, I wouldn't say atheist, but he's less religious. He's less spiritual. So, our caveat, or I guess, or like our middle ground is that, like, I believe what I believe, he believes what he believes, and we both respect each other for it, but we don't agree. And that's just like what it is. Or, um, like, but there is gonna be conflict. Like fighting, yeah, you should never like let's say disrespect your partner. Maybe that's going to happen because we're all human and we're all flawed, but yeah, you should never like let's say for example like hit your partner. Like there's certain oh man, my puppers is really passionate about this. I apologize. Um but yeah, there should never be like lines crossed as far as like hitting, like verbally degrading. I completely agree. Yeah, that should never happen because you should be on the same level as your partner. But like, yeah, I'm gonna put an X to doubt on that.
Oh,
One
really?
time it was Halloween, and remember we dressed up like superheroes? I was really mad. I didn't even know what I was mad at you for.
Huh.
But I had done this like superhero thing. I had blue makeup on my face, and I was so.
And that's kind of telling too. Like, have you noticed how Dave like seems like he's hearing about his relationship for the first time? Like, it could be that like it's just like he naturally just has a bad memory for things, but like literally it's kind of scary how like this is the third or fourth time that like Rachel is replaying these memories in vivid detail and then Dave is like, "Huh, ain't that a funny story?" Like it's like he's not the one involved in these things. It's kind of like he's hearing a story about himself without being there. And that's like a big indication that it's mm, like one or the other is just they're not like on the same page. Like this happens sometimes like where um like like misinterpretation. So for example, like maybe um Oh man, I can think of one right off the bat. Like, okay. It happened where one day I was working at the computer. It was like morning and stuff. Like I can paint this picture. This is what happens, right? So I was working in the morning, like I was like doing my thing on the computer, and I have a routine with my husband that I make him coffee in the morning and then we say goodbye and whatever. It's just a thing, right? Um and like I'm working on the computer and then I go, "Oh, hey babe, do you want me to wrap up that coffee for you?" And then I don't hear anything. And then when I look, he's not there. He just left for the morning. And I'm telling you, this was like soul crushing to me. Like my heart went like it went to my stomach. I was so upset. I was very like because in my mind like, I was like, oh, I can't believe it. Like, he just left. He didn't say goodbye. Like, it felt like soul crushing to me because it was like, oh, this was a part of our routine. This was like something that I liked saying goodbye to him in the morning because it was something like, it was like a little special thing, like to me, because I guess I even saw that growing up with my parents where no matter how early, no matter how, you know, whatever, my mom like always said goodbye to my dad, and I don't know, it was like something for me. It's a very important part of I guess my day or whatever. And I actually called him in tears, being like, "Oh, how could you? You don't care about me." And in his defense, he was like, "Babe, I saw that you were working. I didn't want to bother you, so I just left." And when I heard that, I was like, "Oh." Like it's kind of like, "Oh, that's what happened." And that's the thing. It's because my something happened and my insecurities bubbled up, and like he was quick to be like, "Oh no, this is the way that I saw things." And but ever since then, what's crazy enough is that we've kind of like he's he has like come to terms that it's important to me, and so like this is what we do every morning without like me being hyper vigilant or anything, but it's kind of like we met at a middle ground. And that's the thing, it's not like caving into your partner. It's not, it's coming to a compromise of like what's important to each other. And that's what I think these two are kind of lacking. Like I feel it's like where Rachel is like in her own relationship and Dave is like almost surprised like where she has this perspective. And that's what I feel tension and stuff and conflict sometimes look like. Sometimes it's really just something, it's a misunderstanding or just saying like, hey, this is really important to me, and like letting your partner know and kind of coming into like a middle ground of sorts, because it is, I feel like everyone has like feelings like during certain situations, and what's important is just taking care of your partner. Now, like this is kind of concerning that like they've been married for 14 years, and it's kind of like I almost feel like the way that they're talking, it's like a high school couple. I don't know. It's let me know though if like the situation, like if I explain that well. Well, my doggo is giving me the confirmation that I think I'm gonna lift my mic and like just let them talk for a little bit. He's really aggravated at the recycling. I'm sorry.
It was like the maddest I've ever been. I honestly don't remember what it was about, but I did raise my voice to you. I was very upset at myself, but I like screamed at you in the car on the way home, and I like cried off all the blue makeup. It was a mess.
The question is what inspires.
Wait a second, that didn't explain anything. It was literally like Dave just sitting there and being like, "Huh, crazy how that stuff happens." I feel like that she often talks about their relationship while he doesn't really have one to talk about. It doesn't want to talk about. Yeah, it's like he feels very uncomfortable. And that's the thing. It's a very vulnerable thing to talk about your relationship. Like I talk about mine because I feel comfortable. I know a lot of people, they actually come to me afterwards and be like, "Hey, like that happened to me too." And but I can imagine that there's other people out there who don't relate at all, and that's perfectly fine, but it just feels very disjointed, like they have like two completely separate interpretations of their relationship, which sometimes happens. Like I have a very like how can I say it? I come from a very talkative family. Talking is very important and like feelings and stuff like that, and I don't doubt that, like, at least from what my husband's told me and stuff, he really loves that about me. He loves that, like, when we talk and stuff like that. But at the same time, I would never, like, stare him down and be like, right, I'm right, right? Like, right, this was a very, like, angry. Like, that's the thing. When we've had conflict before, I've had the idea of, like, oh, I thought of it this way, he thought of it this way. It was a misunderstanding. But it all worked out in the end, and now I know how to move forward. And that's the important part. It's not demeaning yourself. And that's the thing. That's what I notice about Rachel and Dave. It's that they're very demeaning towards not only themselves, but each other. It's almost like Dave is like being like, oh, yeah, you and your silly emotions. Like, oh, you really acted crazy there. And her being like, oh, you were like, I don't, a dip. Like oh man, I feel awful for cursing. I almost cursed. Um, but yeah, like she like interprets him as this like cynical like a hole for not like acknowledging her feelings, and that's a terrible place to like. Yeah, like it almost seems. Yeah, I agree with you, Candy. Like,
As us, what's interesting is we
oh,
just
sorry, they're talking about inspiration now.
recently went through a pretty hard conversation, actually. Rachel has been in a constant, perpetual pursuit of being a better version of herself. And I, if I'm going to be honest, was in a little bit of a funk in that things had come, fairly easy to me over the course of time. And I wasn't really feeling
Wait, okay, maybe I'm not. Wait, let me just take it back really quick, cause I'm not understanding like what it is that maybe I like missed something with all my jibber jabber. Let me just do it back.
actually. Rachel has been in a constant, perpetual pursuit of being a better version of herself. And I, if I'm going to be honest, was in a little bit of a funk in that things had come, fairly easy to me over the course of time. And I wasn't really feeling motivated to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So his interpretation is that his wife is a ambitious person, and he like admittingly he was like I guess in like a funk, so I'm guessing like he was in a very vulnerable place in his life, and how I'm guessing his wife motivated him to be a better person.
And we had this conversation, which was, hey, I am going to continue to be a better version of myself every single day. And you have to choose, are you going to be a better version of yourself? If you don't make the
What?
choice that I'm making, if you don't pursue
So an ultimatum is, oh God, how could these people do that to each other? Like, God, that's awful. Like picture it this way, right? Picture you are training. That's yeah. Like okay, so think of it this way, right? Picture you are running a race with a partner, right? Like it is a two partner, like what's that called? Like in county fairs and stuff, like a three-legged race, right? You're n- like a lot of people they like to like compare marriage like in the sense of like but in and of itself it's not a competition. You're not competing with your partner. You are working together for a a similar goal, maybe not the same goal, but in a lot of ways I feel with partners or even with polyamorous relationships because I've had friends who were in polyamorous relationships that they worked perfectly in that way, like where you have to find a um a sense of self. So like what your personal goals are, what that changes constantly, because you're growing as a person, you're changing. And then your partner um is ideally supportive of that. And then you guys mutually like are striving towards something, but I can never be I can never turn to my partner and be like, "Hey, you know this race that we're running together that really there's, we're setting the pace for each other because that's essentially what life is. Like life isn't this like, like rat race of being like, "Oh my gosh, we have to get to the top," and blah, blah, blah. It's more of like the tone that you set for each other. You're building a world for each other, especially when you first start out. Like a lot of the stuff that you're figuring stuff out, and um, I can't imagine turning to the person that you're, you know, kind of to bat for or like together with, and being like, "Hey, I'm going to do this whether you like it or not, and you better like match up with me." Like the only thing I can think of, like I pray to God maybe he's talking about like not with like self-help or something. It's because the way he's talking about her like a mother or like some sort of like deity figure of like, "Oh, I know the answers to life and you better do it. If not, I'm divorcing you." Like, what is this? Like, I'm leaving you behind. That is heartbreaking because I've seen in my family where let's say somebody is in a very toxic part of their life. I'm not talking about depression. I'm not talking about because that's something that is genetic, it's chemical, it's something that, like sicknesses, things like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like choices that people make where, like, in addiction, gambling, things like that. And like, there has to be an ultimatum because it's like, hey, you know what? You are actively participating in this very harmful behavior and it's affecting family, it's affecting us as a couple, and I can't stand for it because you're making choices and but I'm going to support you, but I can't be with you. And that's like different though. That's like, hey, I'm still going to support you in the sense of getting you help of, like, as a person, but that doesn't necessarily mean I have to be like I can't promote this behavior by, turning a blind eye. That's different. But if you're talking about like, hey, I felt really bad about myself. I was in a depressive episode. I was in a down place in my life. And you're telling somebody, hey, but you better suck it up or I'm going to leave you behind. That's terrifying. Like, even I'm like, that literally makes my blood run cold because why would you ever say that to, like, maybe he'll like fill in like something. Maybe he was in like a, but even then, you shouldn't come from a place of like, I'm gonna leave you behind. Like, it's more of a sense of like, hey, I'm seeing these toxic traits, these things, and this is a problem because you are harming yourself. I cannot see you harm yourself. Like, I love you, I adore you, I'm here for you. And as somebody who loves you, I I need to help you in that sense of like I want to help you and I but we have to be active. We need to nip this in the bud because this is a harmful thing and this is because of X, Y, and Z and we are going to take these steps, you know. That I don't know, maybe he'll fill in the blanks. Am I crazy? Like how could you do Yeah, I completely agree on Canny. It's effed up.
To podcasts and developments and conferences and whatever else, one day, 3 years from now, we will have grown apart. I will have grown. You will be right here where you are. It doesn't mean we won't be still married, but we will have a
We'll
harder
be in
time
trouble.
finding things that we have in common. We'll be in trouble. It'll be easier for us to argue. It'll be
Yeah.
easier for us to not see eye to eye. And man, it was a great. I mean, I was so appreciative of her willingness to have this hard conversation because, in a lot of ways, it was inspiring. And it kicked me in the rear to say, you know what? I don't want to wake up 2 years from now and be, apart. And I also, as I've now reached more and more for
Yeah, but that's setting a terrible precedent of being like, hey, this is what I'm getting from what he's saying. She is essentially saying, hey, you're not good enough. Like, you need to work harder or I won't stick around. She's not talking about like, hey, like you're this is a specific habit that you have and like I am scared for you. I'm scared for the kids. I'm Like that's like the only thing that I can think of. It's like, hey, let's find like an outside intervention because I'm not equipped to handle this. Like that's where my mind went to have that kind of talk, but he's essentially like saying like you're talking about him as a person. Like she basically sat him down. This is heartbreaking. Like um like hey, like can you imagine your partner coming to you and being like, "Hey, like you're not you need to work harder on yourself because I'm succeeding in life, I guess, whatever that means, and you're not good enough and you better step it up." Like this is terrible. These are
For growth, feel better about myself, feel more like, showing up in this relationship in the way that the relationship deserves. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but like at the same time it's like like this isn't a quota. Like you're not like of course like there's things okay, there's a difference between having a uh man, I'm getting like really riled up because you can talk about this with your partner without labeling them as a bad person. Like this is like the precedent of what she's labeling her husband as a bad person because she is personally not happy with the way things are going. And those are two different things. You can go to your partner. This is very important. If you're going to listen to anything in my babble, it's this. When you are unhappy with what is happening, do not blame your partner for that. Like, don't think it's because they're a bad person. Like, just come to them with this and be like, "Hey, you know what? I miss you. I love you. I want more. And I understand there's things that are going on. Give them the benefit of the doubt. That, things are going on and they have their own life to live. But it's not because that they're a terrible person that is just like, not working hard enough like in their relationship. Like you can definitely like go to your partner and being like, "Hey, coming from a loving space of the benefit of the doubt." This is a terrible precedent to share with anybody. Like because you're basically putting the fault solely on one person, and being like, "Hey, I'm so much better at this than you, and you in our relationship, you are the worst half." Like that. This is basically like the label of what it is. Oh, I want to do better, so you have to do better mindset. So, yeah, like that's I agree on Canny. Like I almost feel insane because this is the complete. This is like some weird rhetoric of like this is like how you talk to a subordinate. Like, "Hey, our company isn't meeting the numbers, so you need to work harder." Like, you need to put in more hours, you need to do this, but it's all you. There's no, "Hey, I feel personally," because he has his own feelings. What about him? It works in sports, but not in a marriage. Exactly. Like going to your partner and being like, "Hey, it comes from a space of want and of your needs as a person, but that's not your partner." Like imagine like feeling like it's your fault. Like personally, I wouldn't want to show up either. If my husband came to me and he's like, "Hey, you're not paying attention to me and you know what? You need to shape up your attitude when I come home because I'm unhappy." I'd be like, "Oh, what?" I was like I feel angry just even thinking about that scenario. No, don't say it like that. Don't come from that like resentful like, "Oh, like you have to. If not, I'm gonna leave." And it's like, well, Jesus, this is terrible. No wonder they got a divorce. Like, this is terrible. You know what? Whoever sent this to me, user, because you didn't respond back, so I don't want to like shout you out. But wow, I think I'm gonna do more reacts like this because I cannot believe, like, uncanny. I don't know if you know about these people, but these people, they actually sold conferences, like, of thousands of dollars a pop to couples, like retreats, to hear these two people talk. Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's good you don't know who they are. But like literally they're two people who basically would go on retreats and like sell tickets to people who have bad marriages and be like, "Hey, follow these steps and you'll have a happy marriage. This is crazy.
Rachel says this all the time. If you want to change somebody, you got to first change yourself. Rachel decided that she wanted to be this always pursuing the better version of herself person. And as a result of having made that choice and done the work that she's done, it's made me feel that way too.
I
And I'm
mean,
grateful for having a
fine,
partner.
that's great. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, let's say if one of you, okay, let's do a little thought experiment. Let's say one of you in the couple wants to be vegan, right? So you, because X, Y, and Z, you want to help the environment, blah 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 blah. Can you imagine going to your partner and being like, "Hey, I'm vegan, so like you better start stepping up your vegan game because this is the decision that I've made and this is like if we're going to be a stronger couple, this is what like we have to do together." No. Like, hey, you've made your choice. You've made your bed and you go and lie in it. So why is it that you have to put this pressure on your partner like to follow? And if this is something like at least respect them enough to be like, hey, you know what? I've come to this conclusion in life where this is on me. I've changed it as a person, and you're not a terrible person, but it's really important for my partner in this stage of my life to give them the grace of being a person and making their choices, and that they're not a scumbag for not making the same choices as you. And she's not giving him that choice at all. She's like, "Hey, you know what? I'm picked this lifestyle. This is something that I want to do. And you know what? It's important for my partner to also follow along with me. And you know what? I'm going to respect you if you don't want to do it and you don't want to follow along with me. And just like, let's say lead by example. Let's say you want to be a person and hey, you've lost a bunch of weight, or hey, look, like, you are impacting the environment. And then your partner sees that and it's like, ideal situation, like, hey, I want to do that too. Or other situation is, hey, you know what? I don't agree with that lifestyle and we amicably split up. Hey, like, oh my gosh. Um, my ex teacher was married to a vegan and he had to go vegan. Yeah, on every school trip, he ate meat. And that's the thing because, like, I understand that principles and stuff like that, that's pretty funny. Like, but you shouldn't hide parts of yourself for your partner and you shouldn't give these crazy ultimatums because that's not who they are. And you know what? They'll bubble up exactly uncanny. They bubble up in different things. Like, and it's not to say like veganism is bad, that improving yourself is bad. It's just the precedent that you're setting up for the relationship. Because if she's like this and this is how he's defining his relationship, can you imagine them actually, let's say, um super funny scenario, going and buying a couch together, like going to, you don't think that she carries this kind of attitude? And I'm not only putting it on her, I'm putting it on him too, because they're both in this relationship, they're both tangoing with this. Like, she also forced their kids to be vegan. That's the thing, because um that is their precedent. Like, that's like a tone. But like, I understand sometimes that forms in a relationship, and I know in religion that happens, that it's just a principle that you have. And when you go into a relationship, things like this will happen. Like, you will have to like at least match in some ways, but at least respect your partner enough to not call them a bad person and like, oh, you're a piece of crap, and I'm going to leave you if you don't agree with me. That's very hostile. We came to the solution that he stayed for the kids and for the love. No, and that's the thing. Like, you can, there's certain things that, like, in a relationship, there are sacrifices. There's things where it's like, yeah, honestly, it's not that, big of a sacrifice if like, when you think about it, it's like, yeah, well, if I have to eat a burger once in a while, um like, where it starts becoming a problem, it's like when your partner is like literally questioning your morals, or like, thinking of you as a bad person because you don't make the same choices as them. Like, I would never turn around, like, let's say if my husband and I disagree with something, like I can't imagine him going to me and be like, "Oh, you did this because you're a terrible person." It's like, "No, I just didn't." I don't we came to the solution. He stayed for the kids. Oh, not for the love. Oh, okay, got it, got it. Oh man, that's terrible.
Partner that can be inspiring to me that way. If you are someone who wants for more but feels held back by a partner who isn't making that move, make your move.
Change
Make
yourself.
your
Yeah.
change, change yourself, and then watch this person follow you
No,
because
no, because you can't control what the other person. No, that's terrible. It's terrible advice. Like, make your choices. Okay, I'm gonna correct. I'm pissed. I'm sorry. Make the choices for you. The same with health. I think sometimes this debate happens even when you want to get healthy and maybe your partner doesn't want to get healthy. Things like that happen. And, like, but do it for yourself and for because you cannot control what the other person does. That's a falsehood. Just because you think you're doing the right decision, that other person has every right to disagree with you, and like you're both valid. Like, don't change if you're happy with yourself. Exactly. Like, don't like if you want to change for yourself, great. Do it for yourself, not because you expect the person to follow up with this. If you want to go vegan, because you want to go vegan, and don't you know why? Because you wouldn't want somebody to like force something on you that you don't want to do. Oh, don't worry, Uncanny. You do what you gotta do. Do not worry. You can
just
always listen
And
to
try
this
not
and
on
change yourself.
playback. Do your thing. Don't worry.
Like, look at me, I'm changing, but just do your thing.
yeah.
Do your own thing. Don't even talk to them. I mean, obviously.
No, oh God. Yes, please punish your partner for like not doing exactly what you're doing. Okay. Like at this point, just marry yourself. Like
Talk to them, but like don't, because I think some people hear that and they use it as this thing to like dangle over their partner's
Yeah.
head, when the reality is, if
that's
you just
exactly what you're
start to
doing.
change yourself and someone is watching you do it.
No, but that's the thing. You can't control the other person. By the end of it, do it for yourself because that's what you want to do and it's going to make you happy. Like, for example, like I do art because it makes me happy. It genuinely makes me happy. And when I was younger, I made the mistake of striving to be good at art because I wanted people to think I was a good artist and I wanted my family's approval, I guess. Like being like, "Oh, look at this thing that I made." And, "Oh, wow, look at how talented." And that was wrong because you can't force somebody to appreciate your hard work and what you do. You have to do it for yourself because you find fulfillment. And that's not always going to happen. You know why? Because you are going to fail. Like let's say you're not the most perfect person. Like, she's literally painting herself like a Mother Teresa and inspiring her husband. I don't want to be my husband's inspiration. I want my husband to think for himself, to do what it is, to fail. Like, they're literally acting like she's like this Mother Teresa example of a human being. And, like, wow, look how inspirational I am. I even inspire my husband. It's like, no, like, I want him to have his own, I want him to fail. I want him to go out and live life and do things on his own terms and define things. That's like one of the things that I love about my husband. He like the way who he is because he is very true to himself. He literally doesn't know how to be any other way but himself. And I love that about him because he's just a straight arrow of a person. Like you cannot literally define him in any other way because that's just who he is. And that's why I fell in love with him. And I would never, like, there's things I admire about him, but he's never tried to, like, inspire people. Just live your life. Like, don't, like, who is it? Like, at this point, you're just competing with your partner and being like, I, if I would never want, you know why? Because with inspiration comes idealization. And I would never want that. Even with my friends, I would never want my friends to like look up to me or like I would want to live because it's almost like you're this saint that's like put up in like a cathedral and like you're fondly worshiping me from a distance. Like you're not really living with me. Like you're not seeing. Quick side note, she gives me Karen vibes. Yeah, like she doesn't seem like she seems like a painting, like a very picture perfect painting, and I feel terrible because I'm sure she means good by it, and but it's not real. It doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't like it doesn't feel like you're in the trenches with people. It feels like you're this like polished perfect person. Polished perfect person. Say that 3 times fast. And you're not really living your life. I would never want to be a inspiration to my husband, like Jesus. Like I would feel like I would want my husband to live his own life and have his own perspectives, and then we would spitball. Like inspirations to me, like for me, I think of like my grandmother. Like if I think of in like my life who has inspired me, it's mostly like been the women in my family, like people who I don't know, who are in later stages of their life, who've, you know, accomplished some sort of not like feat or anything, but they're just, like I've seen them like live their life. Like they're in later stages of their life, and I find that inspiring that they've come to a point where they've completed something. And that's the thing. Like Rachel, what do you have to be inspired about? You are literally living in the same time as your husband. You're experiencing, I'm thinking, similar things because you guys live together. I would never dream to be like an inspiration. What the hell am I, you know, inspirational about? I don't know. That's kind of weird because it makes me feel like I'm not a real person. Like,
Unless they're garbage, they will want to change as well.
Yep. Go.
no, that is terrible. Like you are a terrible person. I am sorry. I don't no. Never tell your quick side note, like you are a terrible person if you don't do exactly what I want. Mhm. Okay.
Going back to what we first talked about, this
Keeping the oh, it's going to get spicy. Oof.
idea of like pursuing your spouse or dating your wife or having some frequency of going out and having time that's about you, especially when you have kids, it always leads to making out. It
Yeah.
always leads to feeling more in love with each other. And so
Hmm.
that is really
Is it though? Is it also on a schedule? Oh, please tell me. Oh my god. Please tell me that these people are not going to give the advice. I'm going to make a prediction. They're going to give it the advice of scheduling the spicy time. We're going to call it the spicy time. Now, if that's your thing out there, I very much respect it. You have to do things by your own terms as long as it's obviously of age, of consenting age and consentful. Like that's it. That should be any advice out there for spicy time. Just consent and you're of age and everyone's on the same page. But if these two people are about to tell me that you have to schedule spicy time, I'm gonna lose it.
important. But spice also isn't exclusively bedroom flavor. Oh man, I'm gonna go with it for a second.
Oh,
Um,
that's true.
but
I
like,
agree with that.
I know,
Flavor?
I know,
What in the
I
world?
know. But the pursuit for a better version of ourself, like
I
Rachel
mean,
has
okay. I'll stop in there. Intimacy every third every third Sunday. Talk about your kinks is something someone talk about your kinks is some like every third Sunday is my kink. Is that what your kink is? Like, okay, oh wait, like somebody advised you to talk about your kinks. Like here's the thing. It's true. I think what he's trying to say is intimacy doesn't because from what I've heard, even it's difficult to find that intimacy time, I guess when you have kids. Like when you're on a schedule. Okay, so spicy time, I think it can also equate to intimacy in the sense of like feeling loved. And that's the thing. Like just because you're not having spicy time or as much time because it's true like as as like schedules and stuff happen and life happens, it's true you're not gonna have like let's say the same frequency, I guess you can say. Or even there's couples out there that they're asexual, and that's the thing, romance doesn't have to equal candlelit dinners, and spicy time doesn't also have to equate to bedroom spice, I guess is what they're trying to say. So yeah, it can be like simple things in the sense of like a kiss in the cheek, like hand holding, even just telling your partner, it's just making each other feel assured in your love, I think, and not being afraid to ask like for what you want, I think is a pretty big being like, let's say, vocal with your requests. I say especially when um you know let's say in your relationship where you want the spice level to be different, I guess it's always good to like at least vocalize those things. And yeah, like just communicate and be like, hey, like check with yourself, check with your partner. And then I feel like in a lot of relationships, you just want to feel assured, like, oh man, do they really love me? Like, and asking for that when you feel a little insecure, I think that's good. But don't schedule. Like, if it's not your thing, you don't have to. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to have spicy time to feel loved or assured, like just make sure about yourself and then what that means for you and what that means for your partner or partners, and then go from there. I hope that made sense.
Been this awesome ambassador of reaching for more, and that has created a
Wait,
richer
wait, wait, wait.
relationship.
I think I missed
Also,
something.
isn't exclusively bedroom flavor. Oh man, I'm gonna go with it for a second. But like,
Bedroom
I know,
flavor.
I know,
What in the
I
world?
know, but the pursuit for a better version of ourself, like Rachel has been this awesome ambassador of reaching for more, and that has
That
created
sounds
a richer
tiring. I think probably what he means in okay, it's not about being better because spicy bedroom time, like more spicy bedroom time does not equal romantic relationship. Let's negate that because as we all know, asexual people live out there. So yes, magically in the world, like you can be in a relationship, in a healthy relationship without spicy bedroom time, okay? Like, it's not about the frequency or how you do it or whatever. It's just being on the same page. That's it. Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel loved? And what that means in your relationship. And when you have kids, how can you check on yourself and on your partner and what that means? And that's it. That's basically what he should have said. But or if he could have been like, "Hey, you know what? In our relationship, let's say, like, I wasn't paying attention or I didn't ask." And then Rachel was, you know, um, good thing that Rachel was more vocal about it because then, it was something that we could have ironed out or something. Just do it with your partner and not with somebody. Okay, monogamy, that's a very important thing. Um, yeah, so that's a discussion that you need to have early on what your relationship is. I just say this in the sense because I do have listeners out there who they're in a friends with benefits or they're in a polyamorous relationship, and having multiple partners, it's not this like awful thing. It's just like it needs to be said. Like, please, 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 if you are going to be in a friends with benefits, if you're going to be in a polyamorous relationship, now I personally chose to be in a monogamous relationship because that's where I feel the most secure. That's just my security in a relationship. I'm really old school and like to the point like where my husband was literally my first boyfriend. Like, it was just like those things in life. I just felt like I was very, like, I've seen a lot of bad things go down in my family. So I was very nervous about dating. And when I found him, it was in a sense of like, ha ha ha. So, like, I'm a very rare case, I guess, out there, as far as things go. But I also acknowledge that I mean, when it's not a poly relationship or friend, exactly, exactly. Like, as long as everyone's on the same page and you're honest, please be honest because I know there's people out there who are like, oh, if they don't know. No, say the truth. If you are not happy, if you're seeking other people, it is important to not, you know why? Because people, when I say when the trust is gone, the trust is gone. And like you will have to work and answer for that for the rest of your relationship if that person takes you back, if that person, like there's a lot of variables that you cannot control that person, and if you do certain things that break that trust, you have to answer for that. It just is what it is. And like, and I agree, Uncanny. Like, if you are, especially with health, guys, you're not only talking about the emotional damage, but also what about like the health risks that you have? You know, like introducing other partners that are unknown. Like, you gotta be careful. Please protect yourself, protect the people in your life. Like, at the end of the day, these are human beings that you are, and a lot of the times when people do cheat, it's because they're, I don't want to make excuses for them at all, but a lot of the times they have um, a lot of damages in life, a lot of damaged perspectives, and but please be careful out there. Like, I would never want to like demonize a group of people or anything, but like think about yourself and about like the people in your lives. And if you are gonna do spicy times with anybody, please, please, please take the safe road. And if you are in a, even with a friends with benefits, please, before, have these talks. It is better to iron out those things beforehand and lose out on a night of passion than, like basically trick somebody or trick yourself into a situation that's it's going to hurt a lot, you know. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope that made sense. Um, but yeah, but I agree, Uncanny. That's a very good point. That if you're in a relationship or just starting out, really iron out like the monogamy part if that's something that you both, and have that standard. If that is the type of person that you are, don't be ashamed of it. Just be honest with what you are, because it's something that if you don't talk about it, and then you're just assuming things, it's you gotta think if you're prepared for the alternative. That's all I have to say. If you're not willing to talk about it now, or you don't feel comfortable now, that's perfectly fine. But think about how far deep you go into the relationship, and that the potential of it not being that is very, um, you know, it could happen.
Relationship, because I think we both are trying to become better versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
So like going and working out in a weird way is as much about me feeling good as it is about
Oh wait,
my
sorry, I
for a
made you
second.
miss part.
Um, but like
Bedroom
I know,
flavor.
I know,
What
I
in the
Oh,
I
world?
I
know,
don't know
but
why I keep rewinding to
the
that part.
like the pursuit for a better version of ourselves, like Rachel has been this awesome ambassador of reaching for more, and that has created a richer relationship because I
I
think we
know,
both
right? Like
are
they have to be a better version. Like this guy can't just be slacking it, because that's the thing, guys. Like you're not gonna be perfect at everything in your relationship. Like this guy has to apparently be a master in the bedroom. He has to be a master in his personal life. He has to be a master in his finances. Like everything. Can't they just be happy with themselves? Yeah, and you know what? Like like for me, when things don't work out, like sometimes it's even funnier, and it bonds you more together. Like when, let's say, like as a couple you fail at something, like let's say you try and do something different and it just doesn't work out and whatever, believe it or not, it becomes an inside joke. It bonds you together and it's fine. Like, god, like, you're right. They can't just be happy with themselves.
trying to become better versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
So like
I guess
go
you have to be, this guy has to be like a Casanova. He has to this, you know what, she should have just married Superman at
going
this
and
point.
working out in a weird way is as much about me feeling good as it is about my maintenance for and care to this relationship.
Yeah. I listened to, I think it was a TED talk. What is the one factor for couples who still like can't keep their hands off each other 10 years or 20 years or 30 years into a marriage? And it is the opportunity to see your partner how other people get to see them. You bring the very best.
So, okay, how do you keep the spice level up is that you look at your partner how Wait, maybe I just need to hear more because I'm not
Version
understanding
of
it.
yourself to your workplace. Typically, like you're wearing a suit, you're handsome, you're charming, you're smart, you're whatever, and then
Oh
you come
God.
home, and because you want to relax and be comfortable, you're showing your partner the most,
Oversized shirt, soft pants
yeah,
version of
like
yourself.
throw your underwear
What?
on the floor.
So the only way you can be attracted to your partner is by being a business? Like, okay. I'm gonna try and like layman's term what they're trying to say because I think what they're trying to say is like, hey, don't get naked when you come home. Yeah, like don't even worry about it. Just let it all hang out. Can you imagine? No, I just literally pictured him in like a suit going to bed. Like literally having which they have. They actually have those pajamas, like silk pajamas that look like business suits. Like they actually look really funny. But I couldn't like I wanted to buy one just like as a joke, but I couldn't bring myself to like pay $80 for it. You know, I couldn't explain that in my budget, so I just didn't. But it was very funny. Barney Stinson, like yeah, like How I Met Your Mother type. Like he just like magically springs out of. Okay, so I think what she means, and I think this is what like impossible standards aside, because guys like there's going to be poop bun days. Like it's just gonna happen. Like the and you know what's super funny? Like I'm trying to like to give you the answer without being too. But sometimes your partner, it's like you don't have to be wearing or looking a certain way. Sometimes like your partner just amicably just loves you so much that literally it doesn't matter. Like I don't want to say like oh it doesn't matter what you look like because they obviously fell in love with you for a reason. Like of course be healthy in your habits, take care of yourself. Hygiene is very important. Like um yeah, he does kind of remind me of Barney Stinson. It's true. It's true. Like all he's missing is like the beer and oh, didn't he have like a catchphrase or something? I feel like he had like um what's weird is that um like let them be the better version of themselves, like of who they believe. Like don't put this impossible standard of okay, this is the best advice I can give of this spin-off. Tell your partner what you like. Oh, oh, that's what it is. That's a legend. Wait for it. Dairy. Oh, now I remember. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Uncanny. Um, like, okay, your partner is going to do things and just naturally, like naturally, you obviously married them for a reason, right? Like tell them that and like tell them to like hey I really love it when you do this, hey I really like it when you wear that or whatever, and like do that. Like you know, so so then they know it's like hey you know I really like it when you do these certain things, you know. It doesn't have to be just necessarily spicy bedroom stuff. It can just be normal, whatever, like, ooh, you smell really good today, or oh, I love it when, like, you just randomly look into my eyes, or whatever, like, just offhand comment. But, and if you like them to wear a suit, just, to, you know, like, be like, hey, can you wear that suit when we go on our, like, our third Sunday kink time, or whatever. And like that's perfectly fine. And I think I understand where she's coming from, where it's like health wise, it's like, hey, the third Sunday date. Yeah, like hey hey, wear your suit on the third Sunday date. And that's fine. Like I know like for like certain things like my husband likes it. Like I can just tell like when I curl my hair. He's never really said it, but you know, like I can tell when I do certain things to my hair or when he doesn't really care for makeup, but you know, I like it. I do it because I think it's fun, whatever. It makes me feel pretty. And that's the thing, like when it comes to how you look and how you present yourself, um, the whole keeping your hands off of each other, of course, it's very important. And, you know, if that's something that's part of the basis, give him a good value. That's funny because I actually do that. Like, so, and that's the thing. There's certain things that, like, um, you do within your relationship that your partner is going to like, and they will tell you, and that's it. It doesn't have to be this. And that's the thing. I want to give them the caveat of being like, hey, maybe in their relationship, it's important to be. I know there's certain even influencers that they're super into fitness, and it's really important for them to be like super fit. And you know what? That's their relationship. But to give advice to people of being like, oh, you need to bring your best self and this and that, that's not necessarily for everybody. Like, if my husband came in, like, don't get me wrong, I love him in a uniform, like, don't get me wrong, right? But, like, if he acted the way that he did at work, like to in the house, I'd be like, who the hell are you? Like, like I don't like to like I joke around sometimes that like he orders me around and stuff, but it's more of a jab than an actual reality. Like the tip should be, hey, you know, praise your partner. Like, like boost their confidence in the sense of like don't forget the things that like don't forget to acknowledge the things that like you fell in love with and like why, like the little things. I think that's what the advice should be, not this BS of being like, oh, you're not good enough on your worst day, so you better step it up. This is terrible. Like look at your partner, like think of like the little glances. Think of that one time they brought you Subway. I don't know, like just the little things that like made your heart like be like, oh, they do love me, or oh, like those feelings. And maybe that also equates to spicy time, being like, oh, I loved like when they looked at this way or that way or whatever. Like doesn't have to be this advice. Like no, or include other people. Like I think what she means is like, hey, look at look at the little things and appreciate the little things and let your partner know, because a lot of the times when you let your partner know, hey, guess what? It boosts their confidence and then they do it more and then everybody wins. That's the thing. Be each other's hype men. This is what this should be. Be each other's hype men. Don't listen to these people. Just be each other's hype men. Oh my gosh. I hope I'm making sense. Uncanny, thank you for being here because honestly, I feel like I would go crazy without some sort of confirmation that this makes sense because I honestly feel a little crazy.
Version of yourself, but
Oh,
the
good.
opportunity for you to see your partner as other people see them. So like if Dave's giving a speech and I get to go watch him speak,
Like,
or
I feel like we're roasting together. Thanks, Uncanny. Like, you're the best type person.
if I get to watch him work, or I get to see a video where he's done something, or read an article that he's quoted
Yeah, it
in,
is.
I
It's
get to
fun.
see him the way other people see him.
Sitting in the back of Rise this last year was, I've said it so many times, one of the greatest experiences a husband could have
Aw,
in
that's
getting
cute though.
to be proud of something amazing. It was like,
Yeah, but that's work. Like, that's the thing. Like, I remember even like before I met my husband, for whatever reason, somebody made the comment of being like, "Oh wow, it's so." Ooh, I don't know why it like gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Like a guy told me once that it was really attractive, like seeing me take care of kids. I don't know why they said that, but I guess they saw me in like a motherly light, so it's like, oh wow, she would be such a good partner, like a good mother to her kids, which I understand. It's just at the time I was working, so it gave me goosebumps. Please don't, like, if you're going to compliment somebody, like don't do it while they're working. It's so cringy. At least me. But I don't want to speak for other people because I know some people they work for tips and stuff. Like, but like for me, like, ooh, ugh, it just gave me the wrong thing. Um, and like I could see that where it's like, oh wow, like you see your partner doing what they love, and oh, you're so proud of them. And yeah, but that's like work and that's like a separate thing. I, like feeling proud of like let's say the accomplishments of your partner, and that's their work, but like this is talking about like spicy time, and like those should be two different sensations, I guess. Like I wouldn't want to feel turned on, I guess, like while my husband is at work. Like you can kind of feel like, oh, I'm so proud of him. I'm like, look at him doing the thing. Um, but it's a little, I don't know. I don't know. It's a little weird. Like, definitely be like the hype person. Be supportive. Be like, oh, yay! Like my partner's doing the thing. Um, yeah. like on both parts, like, being supportive on, whatever.
The most amazing thing. So
But
I love that. Like just
yeah,
getting to see that best version of your spouse in their element, in
yeah.
that environment where
Huh. Oh, I love how they like snuck in an ad like right for that. Why does this thing feel like a giant ad like for? But yeah, I can see that where it's like, hey, getting turned on around because yes, exactly. I was like with a bunch of preschoolers and like that's what like cuz I remember like a maintenance guy came to me and he was like, "Oh wow, it's so beautiful like how good you are with the kids." And I like at first I was like, "Oh, thank you. Like that's very nice of you to say." Because I thought he was telling me I was doing a good job, but then it slowly turned into, yeah, any man who's going to like, have you in the future is like so lucky. If only I wasn't married. And I was like, "What?" Like this is going really a direction that I just was very uncomfortable. But like I understood the okay, like the sentiment I understood just the like execution of the words. It was just like, yeah, maybe don't like no, no. It was just weird because I was carrying a child, so it was just like, that's not. Just maybe
other
no.
people, like through the lens of how other people get to
Yeah.
see. I know this question was originally about spice,
Yep.
but spice, like I said, like it's not just about makeout
Yeah.
sessions because of course those are great. And by the way, like we on that, I don't care. We
There.
commit to that
Yeah.
too. I
Yeah.
Oh
mean,
There.
God, no! They're gonna talk about that. Commit to the spice. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna write that down. Commit to the spice. Wow. Is this Dune? Like, I don't know if you guys know about Dune, but they talk about the spice a lot. I'm gonna write that down. If you don't think I'm gonna make a post after this, oh my gosh. Commit. I'm writing it down. Commit to the spice. Oh my gosh. Wait, what's the other thing? Commit to the spice. Eat the ghost chili. Oh my gosh, and also the third Sunday date. That's Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. They're I'm gonna bet good money that they're about to say we schedule a spicy time. I'm waiting. Here we go.
like
That's also a chapter in Girl Wash Your Face. If you want the details, feel free to buy that book and read the whole chapter.
yeah,
Maybe don't eat a ghost chili the third Sunday. Maybe not. Maybe wait for next month on that one. Oh God. Oh, and she just plugged in her book too. Girl Wash Your Face is like basically her book that people tore to shreds to.
in the beginning of our marriage, and this is part of what the chapter is about. There was
Oh, that's right, because he helped edit her book. God, this just feels like a weird, icky, like Ponzi scheme. Like, how are these people so into each other's like eating up each other's like work? Like, I guess because they're in business together. Okay, let's see.
less communication about how we were feeling.
I think it's a big ad for the conference. So the thing is that the conference didn't happen because they got a divorce. But to from what I understand, it's that there was the We Rise conference, which is her thing, right? But it turned into because of COVID. Um, they had to do it virtual. But the thing is that she announced her divorce before that. But they were going to collab together on a conference after called We Rise Together, and it was going to be basically them motivationally speaking as a successful married couple, but that never happened because they got divorced. So,
In that space, in the bedroom space,
oh my
and
gosh,
the taboos. There was less communication about
wait, what?
how we
Oh,
were
wait,
feeling.
wait.
By the way, like we on that, I don't care. We
There.
commit to that
Yeah.
too. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's
like
also a chapter in Girl Wash Your Face. If you want the details,
Commit.
feel free to buy that book and read the whole chapter.
yeah,
Oh man, I need
in the
caffeine for
beginning
this.
of our marriage, and this is part of what the chapter is about, there was less communication about how we were feeling in that space, in the bedroom space. And
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's like, let's say you get divorced, right? That doesn't mean like everything that you ever did is like garbage and oh just like you can amicably like divorce and be like, hey, look, this is where we went wrong. You can kind of tell it as a cautionary tale, like, hey, look, this is where we messed up. Like, I had my thing, he had his thing, and you know what? This is how we moved forward, and this is how we decided to split, and that the marriage just could not continue. And like, they can have very valid reasons on like why not to continue something because they grew into different people, whatever. You can explain it away however you want, but like the idea that they literally held up this veneer of like a perfect relationship right until the bitter end of like being like, oh yeah, we can't hold the conference anymore because we're divorcing. People were like, when I say gobsmacked, because they literally sold this kind of thing, like this advice, like, hey, if you want the perfect marriage, we have a perfect marriage. Look at us and look at that. Like,
The taboos around even being comfortable to talk about it on a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Like I don't. It's not a thing that bothers me or us at all. And the fact that we have become
well,
comfortable.
it doesn't. What I love is like how visibly uncomfortable they are of even saying the word. Like, it's like, yeah, I have no problem talking about our spicy time and like, oh my gosh, like they still talk like the marriage was perfect. Like that's the thing. This was before they announced the divorce. So, this was in and what's funny is like she has it on her channel. This was I want to say like a year before, like more or less. Somebody can probably check me on that. But yeah, that's probably why it's old. But yeah, I'll probably do more videos on this because this is astoundingly awful. I didn't think I would like 2 hours have gone by and I have not felt it.
As we've matured in our marriage is a reflection of how satisfied we are in
Yeah.
how we make out
Yeah.
regularly.
A lot.
A lot.
Right,
So
because
anyway,
that matters, guys. Yeah, no wonder it didn't hold up. Yeah, that's the thing. I call like like every third Sunday. Every third Sunday we make, and that's the thing. It's not, guys. You don't have to have spicy time to like, like this is crazy. I've literally there are people out there in the world who don't have spicy time, and they're in, you know, relationships. They're or even long distance that happens where you're not physically around each other, and you have to like make it work somehow. Like frequency isn't a thing, and that's not where you get your security from. Like it can be like there like that's the thing. I don't want to demonize it and being like, ah yes, like you know yeah, like you can feel a sense of closeness. That is a form of way of intimacy that you can show your partner, and that you can fulfill your needs, and all of that stuff. And I don't want to knock that, but at the same time, like, don't feel like you have this like agenda to like yourself or your partner. For long distance, there are toys. Yeah, to get around. No, and that's the thing. You have to just whatever it is. Like it doesn't matter if it makes sense to anybody else as long as it makes sense for both of you, and like it makes you both feel good and makes you both feel um like satisfied in that way, because that's where I feel like the frustration. And it's that like think of it this way: before you were in the relationship, you had a way to satisfy yourself or not, or find fulfillment, and then you get in a relationship and it's not only you anymore, it's you and the other person. So you have to kind of come into agreement on what that means. Like so that's the thing. It's like I feel that both of these people are making up a standard that's not realistic and doesn't work. Like putting a number, it's a very lazy answer to a very important question of like, hey, how, and that's the thing when you give these kinds of advice, like I'm not coming from a place of like experience in the sense of professional experience. Like I cannot tell you what to what works for you, but I just kind of say, hey, this is what works for me. But I can't imagine that these people are coming from a place of like that this is feasible or that it's fulfilling anything like at all. Like I really can't imagine this.
Like if you're in a position,
Bedroom flavor.
if you are, but I think the note of advice is if you find yourself early on in a relationship uncomfortable to have a conversation, push through the discomfort.
Yeah.
The faster
What? Like you're. Wait.
you can get to a place where you can have an honest conversation about what you like or don't, what you want or don't, what makes you comfortable or uncomfortable. The
Yeah, but that needs to be day one. Like that needs to be talked about like because it's boundaries. Like you need to talk about boundaries and expectations and what you want and that shouldn't wait till marriage at all. Like that needs to happen like within like some like at some point if you guys are going to be intimate with each other or whatever that needs to be set in stone pretty early on because there can be miscommunication and like yeah and you have to think of safety like please don't wait till marriage to have these sort of things and like I think what he means by awkwardness is like probably where like you and your partner I'm guessing what he's talking for two people who are comfortable about talking about intimacy they're not really giving solid examples so I'm like waiting for him to like get to a solid example of what he's talking about.
faster you're going to have satisfying moments, and those are important to keeping a good marriage alive. High five.
If you like flavor.
Wait, I'm
Information
gonna
about what
okay.
you like or don't, what you want or don't, what makes you comfortable or uncomfortable, the faster you're going to have satisfying moments, and those are important to keeping a good marriage alive.
Oh, okay, so I think what he's saying is that like if like you and your partner like you guys aren't on the same page, it's important to at least like talk to your partner if you don't like a certain thing, which is true. Like yeah, definitely don't sacrifice like your pleasure for things like in the sense of like fear, like oh I'm afraid to tell my partner um to try something else or whatever. Yeah, like definitely come from a place where to give room like for your wants and needs because like they're equally as valid. um yeah, like because by the end of it your partner also as much as they want to be satisfied, like you're most likely going to be in a relationship where you want mutual satisfaction. So yeah, be like your own advocate in that way. And even oh, okay. Uncanny says even if it's uncomfortable, you have to talk about exactly. Like think about it this way. Are you're both in the same place, like where ideally you want to not only satisfy yourself but satisfy your partner. And sometimes you just need to like just talk it out, like see different options or things that you like and don't like and sometimes it takes time. It takes time and and if anything, you always have practice to look forward to. Yeah. But yeah, it's just I'm a little confused with what Dave means specifically because um yeah, I'm not sure what he means as far as um like fear because I wish he would talk more about that like where maybe he talks about like a fear as a partner where he's afraid that he's not going to satisfy her or I wish he was like a little bit more specific because that would be like kind of like interesting to talk about
High
I guess.
five.
If you like videos here on my YouTube page,
did
man, you
not.
better
I'm sorry.
subscribe, sister or brother, but mostly women watch us.
There's like 4 guys watching now that
All
I'm here.
right, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and
I mean,
comment below.
I honestly I kind of want to react to another one. Like I've already hit 2 hours, so I'm probably gonna leave it for next week. But this was hilarious. Like, thank you so much for like. Let me see if they say anything else. Like,
And let us know what you thought. Give it a little
oh
thumbs
boy.
up.
Oy. Oy. Oh, well, it's over. So what did we learn here today? Goblins and ghouls. We learned. Um,
Become who I am. These foundations.
oops,
5
sorry.
things.
Wait, I
So
think because of. Oh my, wait, what's going on? Oh, okay, there's another video thing. So that was fun. I definitely want to do this again because it was so funny, and I feel There was a lot of things that I think I kind of want to like react to like another one of their conference things, but I'll leave that for next week because we're already hitting 2 hours, and I am excited also. This was hilarious. I'll ask on my Instagram if anybody else out there has any other, like, I did get into the space of somebody asking me about like the red pill group and stuff like that, but since I'm not very eloquent as far as like different movements like that, like for me when I see like a couple speak, I can at least feel like I can give you guys an honest reaction, but when it comes to like groups and stuff, like I feel like there's so many different opinions and factions and stuff, like I don't feel like it's fair. But when at least like two people are claiming something, I can at least feel like confident enough to be like, something doesn't sit right with me. So I'll stick to that, and that'll be so fun, and I'm super excited. So I think we'll do that for next week. And thank you, Uncanny, for being a great hype person for me today because I felt a little crazy. This is territory that I just did not know about. And like, I did not know I would have all these like feelings, and I felt like my sanity was like slipping a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. So thank you so much for your support and for everybody who watches the stream, who gives me suggestions and sends me links. Thank you so much. Keep an eye out on the Instagram because I'll give you guys a solid schedule for next week. And so then, if you guys want to catch a live, or you can always play on the replay, I'll most likely upload this on YouTube. So then, anybody who doesn't have a Twitch, they can just click on and just play it there. And thank you so, so much. Oh, and same here, Uncanny. You have a great rest of your day or night, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye. Thanks so much for the laughs. Bye.